Before beginning to edit your video, you'll want to upload your video footage into your computer. If you don't know how, you can always ask the personnel in the site lab to help you. Once you have your video uploaded into your computer, the first thing that you'll want to do is open up Windows Live Movie Maker or iMovie. Next, you can go to this button right here and double-click to add a video or photos. What you're going to want to do now is locate your uploaded footage. I'm going to be using a Shrek video just to show you the skill sets of how to edit a video. Once you've uploaded your video into the editing software, you can use these buttons right down here to zoom in and zoom out. You might see that you have many frames right here, in which case you'll need to zoom out. If you have too few and you need to see more, you can zoom in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here to this button right here to add a credit at the beginning, add a title at the beginning of your film. I'm going to remove what it says here and add something else. At this point, you'll probably want to also put your name. Next, you can add some sort of animation to the actual text. And you can go ahead and add another title by clicking on the Home tab and clicking right here. You'll want to remove this and add some kind of title that describes what's going to be the first scene that people are going to see in your video. Done. Now, when I press play, let's add some sort of animation here as well. I can see that it's beginning on the wrong title clip. All I need to do in order to change it is click on the one that I want first and drag that to the beginning. Now it's changed the order. Looks good. Okay, now what I can do is actually go to the video itself and begin editing.
I got face, Shrek.
So let's take a look at the beginning right here. This scene right here, up to about this area right here before the movie actually begins, is pretty irrelevant to the actual movie. You'll have many scenes like this where either students are getting up from their desks, or you're repeating your directions, or just any other irrelevant content to the actual final product. What you'll want to do is figure out where those scenes are and split them from the final product. I'm going to show you how now. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to press play and pause when I see that the irrelevant content has stopped. So right there. But I can see a little bit of the part that I don't want to cut off. I'm going to click on this area right here with my mouse and just drag this back until I can see that it's not cutting off any part that I don't want. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to click this button right here called split. Now this has split this irrelevant content from the actual final product. I can press play just to make sure that it's what I want to delete. Perfect. So I'm just going to go here and move the cursor back and forth just to see what this looks like. Now, as long as I'm sure, I can go ahead and right click and remove. If I mess up, I can always hit the back button here. Alright, so let's take a look at what this looks like.
Hey, Shrek, I envy you. No worries, no responsibilities.
Okay, so in order to create a better transition between some of these frames, I need to also go back and add some kind of animation. I can do that by clicking up here and click this animation button, go to my first clip and add some sort of transition. Then I can come to the next one and add a different one. It doesn't matter what you can pick anything that you like. I'm going to come up here as well and add a different one. They can be different or they can be the same. It's up to you. Now take a little bit of notice right here. It's moved my text over a little bit, so I just need to click on my actual text and move that back to where it is. So I'm just going to move it like that, and that will free it up here. Let's take a look at what this looks like now in the actual video.
Hey, Shrek, I envy you. No worries, no responsibilities.
That's a laugh. Sometimes I wish I had just one day to feel like a real ogre again.
Well, what?
So, Now what we're doing is we're actually splitting the actual product. So we're taking a look at the scenes and we're taking a look to see where our teaching parts begin and end. So let's say you've just finished your lesson introduction and you're now giving students directions about what to do in their independent practice. So you probably want to split that from the actual product. So I'm just going to move my cursor until I get to the part that I want. So right before we get to him. So I'm going to right click and split. Now this first scene is split from the rest of here. If you find any irrelevant content in between your lesson introduction, giving students directions, and their independent practice, you'll probably want to do what we did just before, split that, and then delete it. What I'm going to do now is add a clip in between to introduce my next section. I'm going to go back to the Home tab, click the title, and I'm going to introduce my next scene. Okay, so another thing, you can also move these back and forth, drag them, and set this text where you want it to be set. You can also add an animation sequence to the text itself by doing that. I can also come up here and change the font size, font style. I can make this bold. Whatever you want to do is up to you. Now I'm going to come to this area right here. So this is introducing my next scene.
Well, why didn't you say so? Magical transactions are my specialty.
All right, what's the catch?
You gotta give a day to get a day. That's all.
So now let's talk about the independent practice, or whatever it is that you're switching your activity to now. I'm going to go ahead and pretend as if this is beginning the independent practice of my students. I'm going to move my cursor until about the right frame, maybe right there. I'm going to right click and split. Now what I can do is add another title clip to introduce my next scene. You may even have group work, in which case you'll probably want to say something else right here. Whatever it is that you want to say. If you have a clip about student management or classroom management, you'll probably want to put that in here as well. It depends on what you're doing and what your video looks like. I'm going to also add a animation sequence into this text. So what I can do now is come to my next video clip and press play.
Just sign it. And by the time this day is up, you are gonna feel like a changed ogre.
So let's say now you're talking about the conclusion of your lesson. So this is going to end the part where they're working independently, and now you're concluding your lessons by asking them questions. So I'm going to right click and split. And now I'm going to add another title slide in between just to talk about what the students are, or what my audience is going to see next. Again, I can move these out, and I can also add an animation sequence to that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here on the video and press play.
So, what happens now?
Have a nice day.
Okay, so now I'm at the very end. I'm going to click and drag this to the very end, and I'm going to add what's called a credit slide. This is that button right there, and I'm going to go ahead and put if you want to add your teacher's name, you can. Whatever you want to put here is fine. It's up to you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the actual video itself. Let's say that your video is not as clear to hear as you would like, and you can't really hear yourself talking or the students talking. You can actually go to the actual video itself and then come up here to this middle button right here to add a caption on the actual video. I'm going to click that here, and it's going to give me a caption right here. You can say anything that you want on the captions to help your audience understand what you were saying in a part that might be hard to hear. So right here, I can also add another caption. You can also add other captions to help the audience understand what's happening. So you can talk about many things here. Again, you may want to use these to your advantage and make them actually a little bit smaller so that you can maybe fit in what's happening. Might be a little hard to see. Okay, so those are just some things that you can do. Now let's talk about the actual video itself. Let's see if we need to add some more transitions or more animations or effects. Let's just play and see what this looks like.
I envy you.
Okay, so let's say everything looks pretty good and you're pretty happy with the way this turned out. What you're going to do now is come up here to this area right here. You're going to click this and you're going to click the Save Movie. You're going to save it for a computer. What you're going to want to do is rename it to something like this. Teaching Video _ maybe your first name, last name, or your initials even. What you're going to do now is pick a place for this to sit, either your desktop or even your flash drive. When you click Save, Windows Live Movie Maker will begin to save your project. Now this may take a while because if you have, let's say, 5 minutes worth of video and text and animations, depending on your computer speed, this may take a while, so you're going to have to let the computer just think. Here's my movie all complete.